on, Paul ISM. Welcome to part 4 of our Tamiya 124 scale Honda NSX video build. Before we get going today, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you click the little bell notifications, get notified of all our latest videos. Click the like button and leave a comment. I do read and reply to all the comments and appreciate everybody that takes the time to leave a comment on the channel. And of course, if you scroll up in the description, there's a link to a big long list of all the items I use in my videos, so if you see anything, you should be able to find it in there. So the final part in our video build series, it's been a good kit so far. Hopefully the last stages won't be too difficult. It does look a little bit tricky in places, so hopefully it won't give us too much trouble. But today we've got literally the finishing touches to do. So we've got to flat polish all the body, we've got all the glassware to do, the lights, we've got the engine bay cover, under trays, exhaust, literally all those little bits and bobs that need doing at the end. So as usual, we're going to cut out all the faff and extra bits that we don't necessarily need, get straight to the point, deal with everything quickly and swiftly. We're not going to hang around. As I always say, you don't see every part primed, every part painted. You don't need to see that. If you want to see me prime stuff, there's dedicated videos out there you can go and look at. I don't want to bore the life out of you all. So, in that respect, let's crack on with the build. Okay, straight into the build, we're onto our glass. So there's several pieces of glass to mask up and paint. Some are going to need masking and painting from both sides, some just from inside, some just from outside. And then we've got other pieces of glass that are going to need painting in clear red. So when handling the glass, be very, very careful. Take your time, handle it as little as possible. Be gentle with any sanders or cutters, because some of the marks that you can put on there accidentally can show through at the end and look pretty awful. So we've got a 400 UMP thinning stick. I'm just lightly sanding the very top of it to remove that sprue locator, and then we'll hit it with a buffer, get it all nice and smooth to the point we're happy, buffer up to a high shine, mask it, and then spray it. It's simple to do, but time taken, as always, is well worth doing because you'll get a much better finish and the overall result will look a lot better. So like I say, we're just taking our time, give it a light sand. Once we're happy that it's smooth, we can come in with our buffer, hit it with the blue side, and then flip it round onto the white and polish it to a nice high shine finish. And there we go, we'll do that for all the glass parts, get them all cleaned up as necessary, and we come back for masking. So parts like this one needs masking from both sides. This is the bulkhead between the engine bay and the cockpit of the car. So there's a mask for each side. It's then sprayed black on, well, you can spray black both sides, to be honest. It doesn't make any difference. We could even do one because it'll still show through, but one side will be shiny. But for the purposes of what Tamiya wants us to do, it wants us to spray both sides. So line it up carefully. Once you're happy, get a cotton bud, clean one, burnish all the edges down, make sure they're all fully down. You don't want any bleed or creep or creases in the masking tape. And then we'll grab our other one, do the other side, and then repeat on all the other glass parts that need masking up. Some are easier than others. And as I've said before, either go on straight away, or you'll be taking it on and off about 40 times till you finally get it lined up where you want. On the engine bay cover, there's several pieces that need masking. They're a little bit tricky. Not as bad as they look though. Just follow the instructions, take your time, and you shouldn't go wrong really. But there are about at least 6 or 7 pieces to do on this rear engine cover. So use instructions, find the right ones. As you can see, I bend it over slightly to get the edge. Then grab the tweezers. Make sure it's all orientated the right way. Pop it in place. Same as before, get it all lined up. Once you're happy, pop it on and burnish it down with a cotton bud again. Front windscreen now, one of the biggest pieces to mask and one of the most fragile parts on this car, especially those side window pieces. They're only held on by a very thin piece of plastic, so really take your time here. And again, this is about the 6th attempt of putting this down. Like I say, it will either go on straight away perfect, or you're going to have to mess around to get it all lined up. But I find to pick 2 prominent corners first, get those lined up, make sure you're happy with it. If not, just peel it back a little bit. You can move it again. Getting it lined up is very important because you can see this is a very, very prominent part on the kit. So time spent here is definitely well worth doing. Get a couple of corners lined up, make sure they're right, and then on the longest piece, which is right along that front, make sure that all lines up and the rest should follow suit then. As you can see, taking it back, re-angling. We get 1 or 2 edges done, the rest should line up pretty easily then. So there we go, all masked up. We're in our spray booth. We're going to put some UMP black primer down on all these parts. We're not going to spray them any other colour bar the outside of the side windows, which needs to be a gloss black. But for this, we're just going to go with UMP primer. So mount them up, various methods. For this one, we've got a clip on there on a bamboo stick, some Hobby clip to hold it, and we're just going to paint the top. So we've got the 0.35 apex, UMP black primer, 25 psi, and we're going to give it a couple of light coats, hit the air to dry it, put it to one side, let it dry for 5 minutes while we do the other pieces, come back, put another coat on, or 2, depends how many it needs. You can tell when you look at it, but basically just enough to get the coverage. When you're doing pieces like this, and you're going to be sprayed one side, make sure you get no overspray on the back of the glass too. It's very easily done. It's not too difficult to remove. Use some UMP airbrush cleaner to take it off. But again, just take your time, build it up, 2 or 3 light coats. Don't let the paint accumulate or build up around the mask because it can bleed through. As you see, pretty much done there. Finalising the last few parts. So, in the meantime, while I was spraying the glass, we also primed all these body panels too. These are the rear lights. For some reason, these bits are in chrome, and I couldn't figure out why, because it just asked you to paint them black. But anyway, so these were primed the same time we did the glass, left overnight, and we're here now with Tamiya LP5 semi-gloss black. You can see it in the bottle to the right. It's thinned approximately 70-30 with the lacquer thinner with retarder. We're just going to again put a couple of light coats down to get our nice semi-gloss black finish. Now, having primed in black, the black covers really easily, so it just needs a couple of light coats, and we're all good. And again, spray your parts, put them down, pick another one up. By the time you come back to them to start over again, especially with lacquer, they're ready for their second coat. As you see, no real finesse or time taking. We're not hosing the paint on, but we get a nice even coat all around because we don't want runs or any miscolours or frosting or anything to go wrong with it. So just enough to put down. And this is something you'll pick up over time, knowing how far you can push paint. So there's several clear parts that need some clear red. We have LP, let me look, 52 clear red, thinned again with a lacquer thinner with retarder, my god. Approximately 70-30 again, couple of light coats, tip back in any excess we don't use, and leave that to one side to dry. Now, we've unmasked the windscreen, and we've masked up the side panel now. This needs to be gloss black. There's another masked piece at the back we've added on the exterior. So, a couple of light coats. Build it up to a nice glossy finish. So it's probably going to take 3 to 4 coats because the glosses are a little bit more. You've got to be careful. You want a nice wet coat to end with, but you don't want to flood it on and wreck all the masking as well. As you can see, we've used cling film, saran wrap, to mask off the rest of the glass. We are probably getting a bit of overspray on the inside of the glass where we've masked it, but we'll remove that later with some Mr. Hobby level and thinner, so that's no real drama at all. But right now, we're just trying to get a few light coats on, build it up, and then get wetter and wetter as we go. So again, we're through the apex, 0.35, about 18 psi on this now. Again, left to dry. We then come in, unmask it all. Very careful with our knife. You need to be ultra careful, very confident in what you're doing. You don't want to scratch the glass or touch the fresh paintwork. But this has been drying overnight. Very happy with that. We've got a nice glossy black, nice clean demarcations on the masking. So that's all good. Says our body shell. This is exactly how it was in the video where we sprayed it. It's completely out the gun. As you can see, we do have several dust spots on the roof, on the bonnet, and on the boot lid as well. So we're going to use Micromesh 6, 8, and 12,000. Start with the 6, and we're going to have flat black any areas with flaws in. So we've got a few spots of dust, and that is it really. So we're going to wet the micro mesh, as you can see. We're really going to soak it, and we're going to concentrate with the 6000 on those dust spots. So, as always, time taken here pays back in dividends. Don't go at it like a bull in a china shop. Really take your time, because although 2K is thick and hardware, it's still very, very easy to burn through if you're not careful. So do a little bit, put it to one side, get some tissue, wipe it off, have a look, and you'll start to see it's getting flatted. And just keep going on that part until you're happy. Now, there's sometimes a point where you just got to think, okay, I have to accept that, because you're running the risk of burning through the 2K and completely ruining the clear coat. So that point is down to you. I'm happy as long as the majority of it is gone. Sometimes I can get rid of it totally. Sometimes I can't. On this, I probably got rid of about 90% of it. There was just a very small remnant where I didn't really want to push it anymore. But you can see there, just with the 6000, it's made a real good, not dent in it, we don't want to say that, but it's made a real good attack on that dust. Same on the bonnet. We've used 6000 on it. We're now here with the 8. And what we'll do, any areas that aren't bad, we'll just use 8 and 12. And any that are and have dust spots, we'll use the 6. And that way, we'll flatten the surface. We're getting rid of some of the thickness that the 2K can add, make it a little bit toy-like. And we'll get rid of the flaws at the same time and creating a real nice base for our polishing in a minute. So, a little tip of the micro mesh, don't do what I've just done there. Don't put it face down on the bench, because it's wet. If you have any dust or particles on the bench, it will pick them up and you will then scratch your paintwork. Keep them the other way around with the abrasive side up, or better still, keep them in the water. So if you do put it on your bench, put it in the water to give it a bit of a dab and then go over it. So try and keep them off your bench. If you have to, put them with the abrasive side upwards. So again, it's just a case of going all around the car body, do a bit, wipe a bit, have a look, check, until you're happy you've got rid of either totally the dust spot or to the point you don't want to go any further. Now, we've got UMP compound. Now, this is part of our polishing system. We've got the polish on. We started to take it back, and as you can see, it's doing a really good job. So the compound is a lot thicker than the polish. So A, it doesn't show as well, and B, it's a little bit harder to work, so you've really got to rub it in. I already had to pass over with this, I'll be honest, I forgot to turn the camera on. But this is us removing the first go over. So it's a case of go over the compound, have a close look. If you still see deeper scratches, because you are going to get scratches off the sandpaper by the nature of it, give it a go over again. But again, be very, very careful on the edges, raise detail. It's so easy to burn through. It doesn't take long to do at all, because they are abrasive, they are quite coarse. So really take your time, and after a while you'll get used to how much you can push it. So that was the compound. I've gone around the whole car body. I'm very happy with how that looks. And now we're coming in with a polish. So basically the polish is a less abrasive compound, really. And what this will do, this will then get back the much higher shine that we had originally. And it should be even better, to be honest. It should be a deeper shine with us taking back the 2K. Because 2K by the nature of it is a thick clear coat. We lose that toy-like look, which you can get at times, and it'll give us a much better finish. So you don't need a lot of this. We're using a damp cloth as well. We've dipped it in our water, and we're just methodically going all round, steering clear of edges, or if you do go on an edge, go over it very lightly. And we're just polishing it up, trying to get back that beautiful high gloss we had to begin with. Like I say, it should be even better once it's all polished up. Again, methodical, careful, all the way around. I usually tend to repeat it 2 or 3 times, go over it lightly, do another part, come back, hit it again, and just keep going until it starts to, well, disappear. We can then use a clean side of the cloth to buff it up, and then as a final finish, we use a totally clean new cloth, or a clean cloth, to buff it up and get our beautiful finish back. As you see, don't get it on your finger. There's no need to do that. Nobody wants a shiny finger. and that's it. So again, it's boring, or it can be, but I quite enjoy this step actually. It can be frustrating. It was in the past using different compounds. Now we've got our stuff. This stuff is amazing. It sounds easy for me to say. It's my product, but it is absolutely phenomenal. The shine you will get off this, you will see in a minute, is absolutely phenomenal, and it really brings the vehicle to life. And like I say, we've lost that thickness of the 2K and got rid of the majority of the flaws. So there we go, the final polishing. You are going to get bits of polish trapped in corners and recesses. An old toothbrush is your friend here. You can get it out. Cotton buds to get in any recesses and what have you. It will happen by the nature of polish. If you've done your own car, you know exactly what I mean. So it's just a case of going around, getting it all off, getting any residue off. You can also use your airbrush with watering as a jet wash. I've done that in the past. That works really well. But the toothbrush is your friend. That is a tip my buddy Norman gave me a long time ago. And I always have a toothbrush on the bench, and it gets used regularly for cleaning the models. As you can see, beautiful shine there. We'll have a proper look in a minute. Getting those recesses. Also be careful if it's snagging any parts as well. So there we go. We're all polished up. Have a look. If you're not happy with it, go over it again. I actually did go over it again after this. You're looking for flaws now. You're looking for any scratches or light marks. If you see them, go over it again. 2K is quite resilient. The polish isn't as harsh as the compound, so you should be able to give it another go over with no issues at all. But that looks a lot better. Looking really nice now. The carbon roof looks amazing, as do the side skirts. I'm pretty happy with this. So like I say, looking at it once I'm done, it did look good, but I thought, you know what, we'll give it another go over, and we gave it another light polish. I put the polish away, but I did give it another go over, trust me. But beautiful finish, absolutely stunning. And again, get rid of all that residue if you can. It will be inside the vehicle as well, so put your cloth inside and get any excess out there, because you don't want to start handling the body and then put your hand inside, get polish on your fingers, because then you have to go around and rebuff it all up. It's a very pretty car, and that red is super deep, and I mean super deep. You could always swim in it, and it does look very good. Happy I chose that colour, and I'm very happy I carboned that roof and those side skirts as well. There we go, so the body's to one side. We've now got a few bits to assemble on the vehicle. I'm a little bit out of shot here, I do apologise. I'm just test fitting the glass bulkhead we sprayed earlier, which has now been unmasked and looks great. So I'm just popping it in to make sure I get the right angle and orientation. Tan leather looks great as well. Very happy I chose that colour too. So once we're happy, we've got some CA glue. There's our rear engine cover as well. I'm just checking the amount of that before we commit to glue. Make sure it all lines up and fits. And once we're happy with the doors, we'll pop the part off. A couple of dabs of CA glue. Glue it in place. And then crack on with our engine cover. So there we go. I hope that's all lined up. So a couple of dabs of CA glue. We pop it in place. Now, on the rear engine cover, there are some parts to decal. Where we mask them up, that's a clear. And then there's decals on there to simulate grills. Now, these decals are delicate. Take your time. Don't hit them with a decal solution until you got them in place. A few of mine split. They are really delicate, really thin. So take your time, get them in place. Make sure they're all lined up. And some of them are multiple par for different angles as well. Okay, engine cover now at the back, all decaled up. We've got some metallic decals in the car, the kit, sorry. Starting with, we've got wing mirrors on here, we've got the Honda logos for the wheels, and there's a couple of NSX logos, Honda logos for that engine cover as well. As you can see top left, there are some of Tamiya's very strange decals for the exterior. The metallic. They're an absolute pain to use, and I'll be honest, I looked at the car and thought it looked beautifully clean without them, so I decided not to use them. I left the car completely debadged, and I think it looks better for it, to be honest. I think the big H on the front of the bonnet kind of spoils the looks a little bit. So we decided to leave those off, but the rest of the metallic emblems and transfers we did put on. So here we've got a small one for the engine cover. I think it says NSX on the top of my head. So we pop it in place, line it up where we want it. We've left the backing paper on. We then burnish it down with a cotton bud nice and firmly. We then grab the clear transfer paper off the top, peel it back, and it leaves the metal emblem happily glued down. So there we go, self-adhesive, pretty easy to do, and looks good as well. So we've got loads of these black pieces to glue in place, so a couple of dabs of CA glue there. Now I did get a weird reaction off my CA glue. I came back in the next day after these all been glued on, and I have white misting all around where I glued. So I think I need to stick to something I said a while back, and on parts like these, just use the likes of glue and glaze or microscale crystal clear, and we'll just use a PVA base because it's much safer, much easier. But yeah, very, very strange haze of CA mist, which I had to go over and polish off again, actually. So a little bit annoying. But all these parts basically fit in place. We're adding a few dabs of CA glue on the back where they can't be seen to hold them all in place. Once we're happy we leave it alone, we need to be very careful now of CA glue on our fingers because it can make an absolute mess of everything we've done. But follow the instructions, a couple of carefully placed dabs of CA glue, and everything's glued in place. There's the intake there from the front grille. There we go, we're just going to put it to one side. We've also got a decal to go on the exterior where we masked off as well. So again, take your time again. Make sure you get the right decal for the right side. Some nice careful decal work. Get these on. That's the glass ready to be fitted then. Typically glass, use a nice glasses cleaning cloth. Keep one separate just for the glass, and it is fantastic for cleaning it up. You run much less chance of scratching the plastic than with any other cloth. We've got these weird side grill parts now that we test fitted before we committed to paint and glue and everything, and I knew they slid in. They are pretty tight. But once in, they're almost clipped in place. We will add a dab of CA glue, and what we're doing, we decal this, put it in, and it did kind of not lift, but move the decal a bit. So we hit it with the brush again to make sure it's all down properly, and we're all good. Repeat for the other side, and it's all done. The bonnet louver grills, again, clear plastic parts with the decals over the top. So they're fitted in from underneath. I'm using the Aquagloss capillary reaction trick to glue these in place. So just load the brush up with alkyd Aquagloss, touch it to the plastic part, the capillary reaction carries it round, and within a few minutes it's glued it enough to hold it in place, and it's a very reliable fixer for any clear parts. Decals for the front lights, there's a couple of tricky decals to pop in place, very, very brittle again, so take your time. These are representing the front signals, indicators, and I think it's the daylight running lights, DRLs. So again, just take your time, line them all up properly, get them in place. Once you're happy, hit them with something like, I use UMP normal on this, it's all they required. Pop them in place, get your decal solutions on, just like that, just like that. Put them to one side to dry, and then we can fit them in a little bit. We've got the rear lenses as well, which is clear plastic. They fit one way. So get it in place. Then we'll have a dab of CA glue again on each side. Just out of reach where you can't really see it. Put to one side, let them dry. And then once you're happy the CA glue is dried, we can assemble them in place. So the the light lens goes in first, and that is glued in place, and then these are placed over the top and glued a little bit further back. So make sure you line it all up right according to the instructions. check from the front that's all glued in place, and again, be very, very careful that CA glue. Make sure you get it just where you want it. So what we're trying to do is just glue the edges without going inside, and we'll push it down, make sure it's all lined up properly, like so. Again, considering the kit's 4 years old, it's not the best mounting point, because a lot of the newer kits, the lights are almost clip in. So they're a little bit disappointing here, but some careful gluing and lining up made sure it all went in place. Rear lights, so the red part we painted earlier is in. They were glued in place again with aqua gloss. Then got a central black piece that we primed earlier with all the glass work. This was masked off. So we've unmasked it, popped it in place, pushed it home, and then we hit it with the aqua gloss to glue it in place again as well. If you're not happy, flip the brush around to push it in. And then just let the capillary reaction carry it around. And repeat for the other side. Glasswork, so we pop it in. There are two like locating ridges at the front, so we're using those as reference. Get it lined up. It looks okay there, so we'll switch fingers. Keeping our finger off the actual clear part. Grab a dab of CA glue. Put it on the extended points at the back. One each side. Hit it with some kicker to hold it in place. Same for the back. Make sure they're lined up correctly. So we'll grab our kicker, a paint pot, spray a little bit of the kicker in there. Don't ever spray the kicker directly onto plastic or clear parts especially. We load up a brush, wipe off the excess, and just touch it to the CA glue, and that will almost instantly set it. Rear glass, exactly the same. Line it up, hold it in place. A couple of dabs of CA glue at the back. Hit it with the kicker again, and that is glued in place, ready for attaching the body to the car. I always put the glass in last, even though the instructions don't call for it that way. I like to get everything else glued in place, because I've dropped parts before with glue on. I've scratched the glass before, so it's usually the very last piece I put in before we put the bodywork on the car. And there we go. As I say, we've got a nice glasses cleaning cloth. This is actually a watch one. Same thing. Clean up all the glass, especially inside, because we can't get to it once the body's on. Although the body does come on and off quite easy on this kit, I'll give it that. Again, if you're doing this, make sure that CA glue is fully cured. You don't want to grab a piece now and smear it all over the body. And put the body on is a really simple affair. It's a case of lining up the back. Like so, there's two little ridges in the back. Get those lined up like so. There we go. And then start pushing it down to the front. Hold the front, gently persuade it in. Too easy to locate points, and there we go. There's our body on. So we will notice that the interior does push the front part of the glass up smooth. So that's all good, because that was one concern for me. But it's nice to get the body on. And again, we give it a wipe over of our cloth. Once we're done with the cloth, we just put it well out of the way on one side. So we're getting nothing on it, no contaminants, no thinner, glues, or anything like that. So we can keep giving it a wipe over. Here you can see the depth of that beautiful red paint. Absolutely stunning. Black wheels with the red calipers, the black carbon, all really go well together. I'm so happy I chose this colour for this car. The red is just beautifully deep, and I'm really happy with how that looks. Like I said, the only disappointing part about the kit so far has been the glasswork. There's another one to come in a little bit. So we've got the rear diffuser and the exhaust surround. Now I did contemplate carbon in this, and then thought, you know what, we've got some carbon on already, let's not overdo it. So I just left it semi-gloss black. So we've got the nice chrome exhaust surround to pop in place. We just dry fitted it, test fitted it. A couple of dabs of glue at the bottom, pop it in place, and we're good to go. It was at this point I couldn't find the exhaust. I was looking everywhere for it. I was convinced that I'd cut it off, sanded it, assembled it, and painted it before when I did all the metal work, and I was hunting high and low, couldn't find it anywhere. I then thought I'd thrown it in the bin by accident, and then, lo and behold, just as I get near the end of the build, looking through the box, I find it still on a small piece of sprue. So I don't think you'll see me assemble it because I thought I'd lost it and I kind of given up. But luckily we did find it in the end. So there's our rear diffuser in place, couple of dabs of CA glue. Make sure it's all lined up and pushed home. And again, watch out for any CA glue on the fingers. It's the worst thing you can get now because it'll ruin all your hard work on the body. Make sure it's all lined up nicely. A couple of small blobs of CA glue on the back to hold these pieces in too. They are handed, they do clip in, not clip in, but they push in from one side to the other. Fairly simple to do. There we go. Pretty easy. And a couple of pieces on the front, so just a couple of dabs at the top and bottom where they fit. Any excess, remove a cotton bud. We don't want too much of it sticking out. Pop the part in place. Then we've got our center chrome piece above the front grille as well. So again, a couple of small dabs of CA glue. And we'll pop it in place. Make sure it's pushed in fully. Wing mirrors. So these call for being painted in two-tone. I don't like that look normally, so I decided to do them all red. We've got the sticky metal transfers for the center to replicate the glass. And then we're going to add a dab of CA glue on the locator point. And then nice and confidently pop them in place. So angle the front in, push it in, hold it for a second or two. Make sure it's fully pushed on. And there we go. Job done. There's the mirrors on. Window wipers, again, these are handed. Make sure you go through instructions and look for the right-hand drive option. And again, a dab of CA glue, very, very careful because it's very easy at this point to get it on the glass. Door handles, chrome, a little dab of CA glue right in the center. Push them in. Make sure they're fully home and that you're happy that they're in place. And then we've got another clean cloth. Careful of any areas you just CA glued, make sure there's no CA glue there. And we're just wiping it up to remove any last fingerprints. Center caps for the wheels. Now these were painted with the wheels, so they are gloss black. So what we're going to do, we're going to cut them off. We're not going to clean them up. We cut right up to the edge of them with the sprue cutters. It will leave the smallest little bit of sprue, excess sprue there, and that will be beneficial for fitting them because we can put a dab of CA glue right in the center. Then grab one, or as I've just realised, knock them all over the floor. My arm caught them, but we got them all anyway. Pop it in place. I'm leaving that little bit of excess plastic on. It just gives it a little bit more purchase and holds it in place. So there we go, there's one on. There's no others on the bench. Oh, there we go, we found another. Put that one there, and we go for a hunt on the floor for the others, which we did find, thankfully. But pop them in place, pick the others up, get them all in, and then there we go. We are all done. It looks good. I'm so happy with that LP7. It's a beautiful deep red. The 2K clear looks like you could swim in it. Looks absolutely amazing. The carbon decals look phenomenal as well on the roof and the side skirts. You can see that carbon weave, absolutely stunning. Black wheels, really happy I chose those. I think they really set it all off and tie in that colour scheme all together. Red calipers look great as well. And I'm happy I left off those Honda logos. I know it's a Honda. A lot of people debadge cars and still do to this day. And I think it looks cleaner without them. But it's a beautiful looking machine. And I don't think the box art does this kit justice because it's a very, very pretty car. and it just looks absolutely stunning. So very happy how this looks. If you got any comments or questions, pop them in the chat below. But yeah, happy with this. It's turned out really well. Another great kit from Tamiya. A few little flaws, but other than that, very happy how it's turned out. Well, there we are then. Fairly happy how that came out. It's a bit fiddly in the closing stages, that kit, for sure. The glasswork's a bit tricky to put in, so if you are attempting the kit, really take your time putting that glasswork in. It seems to be a case of the front's held in once you put the body on, and the rear is basically hit and miss as to where it goes. I took it in and out a couple of times to try and figure out where it went, and then settled on the position I chose. It sounds worse and worse each time. And yeah, that was probably the worst part of this kit, the glasswork. A bit of a nightmare to put in, so take your time, read those instructions, test fit it and see what works best for you. It looks alright to me. And that red, absolutely beautiful deep red, 2K clear, looked phenomenal. And I'm glad I stuck with the black wheels, and we went for the carbon decals, because carbon decals look amazing. Really, really good. So there we go, there's another video build out the way. I got a clear bench now. There's a couple of projects that are still lingering around, but no rush to get to. So what is next? Well, I'm hoping those Volt scheme decals come out soon, because that's up there, that's already started, and I'd like to get back to that. But if not, I will pick something else, and I'm probably going to pick something for me. And I'm currently thinking of either another Tamiya Escort Cosworth in the dual violet colours, a road car again, or the Tamiya Lexus LFA. They're my two thoughts at the minute. I'm going to have a think about it over the weekend. I've got some Lego to build. I'm going to build a new Lamborghini from Lego, just to, as a change of pace. But once I know what I'm going to do, I'll announce it, and we can jump straight back in and crack on with another build. And then when I know the next video build, I'll announce that too, and we can get that rolling as well. Another piece of armour as well, mind doing. So we'll pick it as and when we're ready. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you've got any comments, questions, pop them in the chat down below. I do read and answer them all. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, click that bell notification. And of course, go and check out upretail.com. You can get a lot of the products I show in these videos. And if you see me using anything, there's a big long list of all the products in the description of every non-live video on the channel. Click on it, you'll find it. There's even links to them most of the time that you can actually go buy the products from as well. Check out ISM Facebook page and forum, my Paul ISM modelling page, and the Live at the Bench page, and the Off Air Hangout group as well. The links for these are all in the description down below, so you can click on them and go and join or look to your heart's content. There we go. Thanks for watching today. I'll catch you all next time. Take care. Bye-bye.